Great. Today we'll be talking about U.S. citizenship, how to get it from birth and how to get it after birth.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. There's generally two theories about how to acquire citizenship in general of any country. They're terms in Latin, jus soli and jus sanguinis. Jus soli means citizenship by birth in a certain country. Jus sanguinis means citizenship by descent, based on who you were born to versus where you were born. The United States has both. It's a mixed system as opposed to Israel, which is a solely jus sanguinis society. In the United States, if you're born in the United States on United States soil, you are a United States citizen. It doesn't matter what citizenship or immigration status your parents were in. It doesn't matter when you were born. Most people who are still living today, if you were born on U.S. soil, you are a United States citizen. The one exception to that is if you were born to diplomats who are in the United States on a diplomatic mission. In that case, you are not a U.S. citizen. That's the jus soli aspect of United States citizenship. The jus sanguinis aspect of United States citizenship is if you were born to one or two United States citizen parents who are citizens at the time of your birth, you are a United States citizenship from the moment of your birth. Now, if you are born to two U.S. citizens, you are automatically a citizen at the moment of your birth. If only one of your parents was a United States citizen, then the question gets a little more complicated. First, if you were born to a United States citizen mother, you're good. It's much more easy to prove your citizenship if you were born to U.S. citizen mother. Your mother has to have been a citizen at the time of your birth, and at the time of your birth, lived in the United States for at least 5 years, 2 years of which were after the age of 14. They did this because the United States authorities, or really the politicians who passed the law, didn't want a never-ending chain of United States citizenship, as like a lot of European countries have. If you're born to a U.S. citizen father, the same rule applies, but you need to jump through some extra hoops to prove that the father is actually your father. The United States is extremely sexist in this regard. There are cases in front of the Supreme Court. We can talk about them later, but it's pretty messed up. And again, your father needs to have lived in the United States in any status for at least 5 years, 2 of which after age 14. Now, a lot of the inquiries that we get in our office are people who are born to a United States citizen who did not live the required amount of time in the United States, in which case we need to check the grandparents. So if your parent is a U.S. citizen but did not live in the United States enough time, and the grandfather or grandmother is a United States citizen, if they meet the physical presence requirement of 5 years, 2 after age 14, then the grandparent can petition for you to become a United States citizen. Yep, I think that's about it. So most of our inquiries, again, will be about the grandparent clause, especially, I'll stop there. Most of our inquiries will be about the grandparent clause, so it's always good to check eligibility
Maybe you can
about
explain
that.
a little bit about the process, like practically speaking, what needs to be done.
Yeah.
If there's fees, does it cost money, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the government fees specifically.
Yeah. So if a child is born, for example, in Israel or anywhere outside the United States to 2 U.S. citizen parents, the process is very, very simple. The parents, they file a request in front of the United States Embassy. They make an appointment for the child. The child comes in, gets a certificate of citizenship. I'm not sure about the fees for that one. That's something we do less at this firm because people can generally do it on their own. It doesn't require legal assistance, and it's very, very straightforward. The tough part is proving the physical presence requirement, either for a parent or for a grandparent, and that's where people usually come to us. So if someone wants to get their child recognized as a U.S. citizen after their child's birth, then they need to fill out a request. With the request, they need to provide proof of physical presence. Now, that can be all sorts of things. It can be school records if they studied in the United States. It can be a rental agreement or a mortgage. It can be pay slips if they filed taxes, Social Security. If they paid Social Security, those are like some common ways that people will prove physical presence. It doesn't need to be 5 years continuous, but it needs to be total 5 years exactly or more. So with the request, we file the documentation of physical presence. That gets sent actually directly to the United States. The embassy does not deal with those requests. The fee for each child right now is $1,170, but it's likely that on March 6th, the fee will go up to $1,385 per kid. So it's pretty expensive.
How long does it take?
How long does it take? Yeah.
You need to go to
Like
the
the
States
government.
to get it done.
But yes, so
Yeah,
the
yeah.
process to get recognized as a child or a grandchild of a U.S. citizen is called N600K. Like I said, the request is filed to the authorities in the United States. It depends what processing center the request falls upon. You can't know in advance. It might get sent to Vermont. It might get sent to Vegas. But the processing times are generally between 6 and 10 months. In a good case, 5 months. In a bad case, over a year. Generally between 6 and 10 months. So the request will get processed. The parents will get an approval. And after the approval, the child needs to enter the United States with a U.S. citizen parent. They get invited to a short ceremony, maybe get asked a few questions, and then they receive a certificate of citizenship right there in the office, in the USCIS office in the United States. And with that certificate of citizenship, they can request a passport either from within the United States or from the U.S. Embassy abroad. Yes, Batya?
The process where the child has to enter the United States, is that when only one of the parents is American? Or-
Yeah. You can do, if 2 parents are American, you can do the whole process from abroad.
Okay, so question.
Yes.
Another question. Suppose I were to marry a non-US citizen and have,
Like a Venezuelan, for instance.
and have a child. First of all, my question, which is not relevant to all people, is what are the bureaucratic requirements of the grandparent if the parent does not meet the 5-year 2/14 requirement, just for instance?
No, it's actually a really common, our most common inquiries are about this, like grandparent eligibility from people like you who didn't spend the required amount of time. They might have been born in the United States but didn't spend the required amount of time. They moved abroad as a child. So generally the grandparent just stands in for the parent. So the parent can fill out all the required forms on behalf of the child as their like natural guardian. But in terms of there's an extra section to fill out if you're applying through the grandparent's eligibility. So you fill out that section, and then the grandparent will, same thing, produce proof of like 5 years of at least 5 years of physical presence, like same sorts of documents. The grandparent does not need to travel with the child. So even if you're applying through the grandparent, still the U.S. citizen parent needs to travel with the child to the United States. People always miss this, but the parent, so the middle generation, also needs to be a U.S. citizen. So if they, for whatever reason, did not get a chance to get citizenship from their parents, their kid is out of luck. Another important thing to note, after age 18, you're done. You need to get the certificate of citizenship in hand before your 18th birthday. If you don't, then your claim to citizenship is gone.
So if the grandparent is deceased or mentally unstable, what's the law for that?
You can still apply. Yeah, good question. If the grandparent's deceased, doesn't matter for how long, you can apply from the grandparent.
Got it.
Yes, Jordan.
Okay, so in my case, I'm not married to an American citizen, so I have an appointment like a month after birth to register the baby. I'm gonna have to pay over $1,000 in fees. I was under the impression that it was like a total of like $300 something.
No,
in fees.
no, just the filing fee. Actually, an interesting point, for if anyone is interested, probably not, but USCIS is the U.S. Immigration Services. They're entirely funded. They don't get any funding from the U.S. government. They're entirely funded by application fees. During Corona, they almost completely shut down because no one was applying for visas. It was a big crisis.
No one could.
That's why I didn't
So-
get it. There was no
So with the 2 recent refugee crises, the Afghan and the Ukrainian refugee crises in the United States, if you apply to come into the United States as a refugee, you don't have to pay an application fee. So the reason that they're raising these fees is to cover the processing of Afghan, Ukrainian, etc., but mostly Afghan and Ukrainian refugees.
Thank you, Joe Biden administration.
Indeed, thank you, Joe
Thank you,
Biden
Obama.
administration.
So wait,
So yeah, you do have to pay the fee.
and then I'm gonna have to enter the US with my child, they won't get a certificate of citizenship at the embassy?
No, you need to fly to the U.S. with your kid.
So political.
Importantly, though, the child, when they enter the United States, you need to get them a visa beforehand, right? They won't have been a citizen until they receive the certificate of citizenship in hand. So when the child's still abroad with their U.S. citizen parent, they're still a foreign citizen who doesn't have permission to enter the United States as a citizen. So often what you need to do is request a visa for the kid. Once the kid gets the visa, then they can enter the United States with their parent. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of women who get like pregnant, going to the U.S. and like just giving birth there, and then do their mothers or parents get like some sort of like a residency there?
No, it's
So
a.
they have to leave.
But after the
Well,
child is
They don't
18,
always leave.
What do you think happens with like Mexican illegals who get over the border? That's why there's like this whole issue surrounding like parents getting to stay with their.
No, because when
Children.
they're 18, they can request their.
So they
21.
basically need to
That's
leave the
21.
country ASAP.
So not necessarily. No. So again, anyone born to
That's a pension
on
fund,
U.S.
not an
soil.
immediate,
It's American.
Anyone born on U.S. soil is American. It doesn't matter what status their parent is in. So there are cases, a lot of cases, probably hundreds of thousands, I would guess, at this point, of U.S. citizen children who are born to undocumented parents. They can technically apply for their parent to sponsor their parents when they turn 21. Obviously, it's 21 years that the parent is undocumented, and also generally the parent is not eligible for citizenship because they lived in the United States for several years without status. So it's a really hard
So
and complicated
they basically
issue.
Staying in America illegally for that time when like the child is still a
Or they leave.
infant.
Not always, but there's undocumented immigrants in every single country in the world, even Israel. And yeah, and also in the U.S.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great. I
Feel
think,
free to
yeah,
die.
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Wait,